Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Madam Secretary, thank you for your service. In your opening statement, you said that our troops deserve the best support, and I couldn't agree more. And in fact, part of that support was supposed to be training the Iraqi police so that they could stand up, as the President would say, stand up so our troops can stand down and come home. Because of this focus and mission, and because it's so important to our Iraqi mission, I was incredibly disturbed to read the report from Stuart Bowen, the Special IG for Iraqi construction this week. And in his report, he said that the State Department's $1.2 billion contract with DynCorp to train the Iraqi police is missing. He said, and I quote, the State Department does not know specifically what it received for most of the $1.2 billion in expenditures under the DynCorp contract for the Iraqi police training program. He further called it, and I quote, the weakest staffed, most poorly overseen, large-scale program in Iraq. In February, he testified before this committee that $4.2 million was spent for an Olympic-sized pool in a palace for the Iraqi police, and it has never been used. He called the program in complete disarray, and I repeat, this was one of our most vital focuses. So how do you respond to his scathing, scandalous report?
Well, first of all, it is simply not true that we don't have a copy of the contract. We have a copy of the contract.
You have the contract. He says $1.2 million is floating around in ether that it's missing.
We don't have a copy of the contract. Let me just correct the record. We have a copy of the contract. Now,
he said the money's missing.
Now, the money has to be reconciled. Now, let me explain to you what happened with INL and the DynCorp contract. When I became secretary, there had been during the transition considerable concerns about how INL was being run and staffed. The first change that I made...
They told us in a staff briefing they could not find the contract file.
I'm told that, let me explain, we have the contract, and the
so
contract file, there was not a contract file kept by the person who oversaw this at the time. But I need to go back here just a moment, Congresswoman. When I became secretary, I knew that there were problems in INL. One of the first personnel changes that I made was to have a new assistant secretary for INL. I brought in a senior manager who did an internal audit of INL's operations, including over contracts of this kind, found sufficient difficulties so that the incoming Assistant Secretary, Ambassador Ann Patterson, who had a lot of experience with this, having been ambassador in Colombia when we ran large police contracts, then had another external review and then began to remediate the problems in INL.
So what was your response to the $1.2 billion missing?
You will see from the report that Stuart Bowen has is that since mid-2006, when Ann Patterson established appropriate reconciliation measures for reconciling invoices and services, that is completely accounted for. We have 4 people now working on the previous time to reconcile those. We have already...
Madam Secretary, I'm going to contact tomorrow the IG Bowen and ask him to give us another report, since you seem to say it's all right now.
No,
but furthermore, Secretary, if I could, can I tell you that I am not surprised at the report that came out from General Jones, where he said the national police are ineffective, and I want to quote this because I find it almost unbelievable. He said the national police should be disbanded and reorganized, and I am not surprised given the fact that the money that was supposed to train them are missing. My question, Madam Secretary, is for you to put yourself in my shoes. I'm home in my district. I'm standing in front of a town hall meeting of hard-working American men and women who are paying their taxes. Many of them punch a clock for their time. They're accountable for their time and for their money. And how do I explain that the IG says that $1.2 billion is missing that was supposed to train the police, the most critical of our missions to help stand up. And how do I explain $4.2 million for a swimming pool that has never been used? What do I say to my constituents when they say, why are American young men and women being killed when the American government cannot even account for the money to train the Iraqi police that is supposed to help them bring stability?
Gentlelady's time has expired.
Yes, would you like my response, Chairman? First of all, Congresswoman, it is not right to say that $1.2 billion is simply missing. There is a process that needs to take place of the reconciliation of invoices which were considered inadequate. And so, in fact, goods and services have been delivered. We deliver the goods and services to Minsticky on the military side. They do the training. But and so the training is not actually a State Department function. Our function is to administer the contract. Now, as to the contract.
But it was the State Department dollars and State Department contract. The State Department should be accountable.
Would you like me to complete my answer? Thank you. Let me read to you from Stuart Bowen's account. The Bureau has taken action, meaning the INL. The Bureau has taken action and continues to take actions to improve its contract management in general and its management of the DynCorp contract in particular. As a result, we have, in the reconciliation process that has been taking place, already identified some $20+ million that we've billed, the $29 million that we've billed the company for because the invoices were inadequate. There's another $19 million that is being pursued with the company. We expect to find more. So there is a reconciliation process going on. You can tell your constituents this is not a matter of having lost the money. This is a matter of invoices, as I am told by the people who are doing this. This is a matter of invoices and records that were not solid enough for us to be confident that the goods and services were being billed properly. Therefore, we put 4 people on reconciling contracts prior to mid-2006. We are up to date on reconciling those after mid-2006. So that is the story. And I want to again note that Seeger didn't find this. This was a Department of State audit of its own procedures that came under new management because there were problems in the Bureau of INL. And that's very often the case with many of the things that have been mentioned here. It is the department that finds problems and then seeks to fix them.